Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Nerds. I'm Ryan.
I'm James.
I was doing it like a boxing announcer. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't really plan how I start the show.
No, you don't. Usually we start with something like somebody says something funny and then you start it anyway.
Yeah, because
but this time there was nothing, so it was just sort of.
Yeah, I like the uncertainty.
I'm going home.
I'm Ryan. Next to me, of course, is...
It's James. I already said my name.
Did you?
Yeah, we did this already.
Did we do... Oh, man.
Oh, my God. 30 seconds in.
30 seconds in. This is the worst episode of Real Nerds ever.
Yeah. But it's also a different episode. We're doing something different this week.
We are.
You don't remember.
I do remember.
Oh, okay. And we should say this for the next couple episodes so that people know, since I know not everybody listens to every episode, and this is part of why we're doing this, is to sort of solve that, is that in order to... Not that we've gotten any complaints or compliments for that matter about our spoilers.
On spoilers. I said on iTunes, someone said it's a really funny podcast.
That's right, yeah. And somebody that...
And it's someone who's not a friend.
Yeah, somebody just found it, which is cool. So if that guy's still listening, send us an email.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyway, but as far as spoilers are concerned, since we don't even really try to not spoil anything, what we're going to do is when we get to the movie review, we're each going to say, just like in a sentence really quick, you know, what we thought of it, whether or not you should see it, and then probably we'll show the trailer, and then we'll actually do our usual gushing on the movie, so that way people can listen to the episode, whether they've seen that movie or not, and then, you know, maybe we'll sway them one way or the other.
Yeah, and they can pause it while if we say to go see it, and then they can go see the movie and then come back and listen to our spoilerific podcast.
Yeah.
And I always love how we start our podcast where we try not to spoil it, but then we just get into it too much and spoil it anyways.
Oh, yeah. It's like, well, I'm going to try not to spoil it, and then like 3 sentences in, it's obvious.
Gone. Hey, James, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
Real news time. What do you got for me this week?
This is a light week.
It was light.
You know, which is good. I don't really like news. No. Well, the big thing... Well, first we'll start off with our continuing new segment.
Bashing AMC?
What is AMC fucking up this week? And the truth is, like, last week I said, you know, it would be great if this week I could say that they fixed everything and everything is just dandy peachy keen.
And you have to report?
Well, they didn't. They didn't fix everything, but they fixed something. The status quo is better this week than it has been. They announced this week that Breaking Bad is going to get a 5th season on AMC, and it's 16 episodes long, which is actually 3 episodes longer than any of their other seasons.
Wow.
Which is good. It means, you know, they're writing what they had messed up with Breaking Bad. Hopefully, that means that all the weird stuff that's been going on with Walking Dead, they'll fix it and make some commitments and really get things in order. It feels like growing pains, and hopefully this will be over.
Yeah, I did find out that they're releasing a collector's edition of The Walking Dead Season 1.
Oh, fuck.
On Blu-ray.
Really?
Yeah.
That is such... Oh,
yeah, I know.
Man.
Yep. And
when?
I think it's in September.
Oh.
I remember when
That's
I was...
such a crock.
Flipping through, I'm like, why isn't there no commentaries on these episodes? You know, I think the first one should have a commentary. It's a pilot. It's really big and it sets up the story. Frank Darabont should do one.
Yeah.
And I always thought that. I said,
and usually he has really cool DVDs.
Yeah, and I said, oh, well, you know, I guess they have about a 15-minute segment for each episode where they talk about making the episode. I said, I guess that's kind of the same. And so I was sitting down and I don't know what made me look at it, but I was just looking at digital bits, and usually I just look at their first... 20 cover scans, see what's coming out. And I think it's September 27th, if I remember correctly. I scrolled down, and there's that half-decayed bicycle girl face.
Yeah.
And it says The Walking Dead Collector's Edition.
Oh, man, that sucks.
It does suck.
Well, though, it's cool that, you know, we're going to get a good DVD version. I've always... on Frank Darabont's DVD of The Mist, there's a really cool documentary about Drew Struzan. Mm-hmm. He does neat stuff like that it'll be cool if there's some good stuff on that DVD that makes it worth it for me to actually pay for that DVD again. But it sucks that they're doing that. I mean, and I bought it on Blu-ray. Like I was so excited and committed, and then they double dip me, and that's just it feels shitty. It feels like you're attacking the fans when you do that kind of stuff.
I talked about this with Joe in our video game one. Is Marvel vs. Capcom 3. They're releasing another one like 5 months later with 16 more characters.
That's stupid. And the other thing is that I find that when there's something that I something comes out and I feel like, oh, well, this is not really the DVD that I wanted. I have a feeling that they're going to come out with that they're going to double dip me and come out with a collector's edition. What ends up happening a lot of times is I don't buy the DVD when it's new with a Blu-ray. I don't buy it when it's new. And then if there isn't, or even if there is a special edition at some point, at that point, my excitement has kind of waned a little bit, and then it takes a while before I buy it, and then I think, well, I'll wait till the price comes down, and then it's 6 months. I don't really think that the whole double-dipping thing even works. It only works if I don't know it's coming, if you really sting me like this.
Yeah, the thing that, the one that's really irked me lately is, I mean, it's not even, is the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. They had the first, it was maybe 4 volumes, 3 or 4 volumes, and they said, oh, don't worry, we're releasing a season set, too, so you don't have to worry about it. And they did, so that's cool. So I didn't buy the little volumes. It's just basically made for children. You know, it has 3 episodes, and they can watch them.
Yeah. And
I said, cool. So they came out the first season, and then they did the same thing for the second season. They had another 4-volume DVD set. They all came out. I said, hey, don't worry, the second season's coming out. And then they canceled the show, and I've never heard a single word of a season 2 of the Spectacular Spider-Man on DVD.
The one that bugged me for the most part was when they released Lord of the Rings on Blu-ray, because they only released the theatrical versions without any of this, without any of the appendices or anything like that. And then it was interesting because if you went onto Amazon and you looked at the Blu-ray for Lord of the Rings, it had 1 star. And it was because the entire internet went on there and rated it shitty because they were like, you're obviously trying to double dip us. We want this movie in 1080p. We want it as good as it can be, and we want the full movie, Because for the most part, those extended editions are better movies.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. I actually, for a couple of years on my Christmas list and stuff, I would put, do not buy me the Lord of the Rings Blu-ray. Because I thought, somebody might think of it and be like, oh, he would really enjoy that. And I would just be crushed if they wasted $60 on that. So, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was my news that I found that I was a little disappointed in.
Yeah, that sucks. Anyway, well, let's move on to something that doesn't suck. No, that sucks. So we'll get to that stuff later. Hit Somebody's going to be 2 parts.
Is it really?
Yeah, you didn't hear about this?
No.
Kevin Smith came out this week and said, well, he mentioned it on the radio, I think. Not on his radio, on somebody else's radio. And then he talked about it for sure on Twitter. Came right out and said, Hit Somebody is so big that I don't think I can make it in 1 movie, so I'm going to make it as 2 films. The first movie is going to be him getting into the NHL, and then the second movie will be sort of his story in the NHL, which there's definitely a part of me that scares me a little bit, because to me it's one big story. So unlike something like Kill Bill, which it keeps getting compared to, where Kill Bill is one big story, but those 2 movies are stylistically so different that I watch them independently. And
I love Kevin Smith, but is there an audience for 2 hockey movies?
Yeah, that's definitely but he's going to make it his way, where it's going to be $5 million, and there's his movies can make that much back just on their own audience. Well, though he has said that it'll probably cost more than, it'll probably be like $5 million a piece, or even 10 or something like that. Still cheap, but he has said that he'll probably have to get some studio help on that. Anyway, it's kind of exciting.
Interesting, yeah. Surprising.
I like it because I want him to make. It sounds like he's really excited about the movie and feels like he's really going to make something great, and that is cool. But yeah, it makes me a little nervous. But every time Kevin does something, it makes me nervous.
Yeah,
and then it's successful, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They're going to make another Austin Powers movie.
I did know that. It didn't register on my radar. That's why, not that big news. But I know they about 7 years ago, they cast Rod Stewart as his older brother.
Really?
In Austin Powers, yeah. And he was going to play it, but then Mike Myers decided he was going to make crappy movies for a while.
Yeah. He was supposed to make an Austin Powers 4 movie that was going to be about Dr. Evil and Scotty, focus on the 2 of them in, I think, 2007.
Yeah, something
and then
like
that got pushed back a little bit, and then he made some crappy movies, and then The Love Guru did so horribly that he just sort of backed away from movies in general for a while. And then finally somebody approached him a month ago, and offered him not as much as he was offered in 2007, but still enough money that after a little while he was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can't make this movie. It's very, it feels like him trying to make a comeback after The Love Guru.
Did you see that?
No.
I saw that, and for somebody who is a hockey nut, then they have stupid. It's so stupid I couldn't even describe it to you. Justin Timberlake's funny in it.
Wait, that movie has hockey in it?
Yeah.
Isn't he just supposed to... Anyway, what?
It's about... I don't even remember what it's about, but it's a hockey player using him to find something.
That's weird.
Yeah, don't see it.
I'm not going to. I probably won't see an Austin Powers 4. I don't think I've ever actually seen uncut all the way through Austin Powers 3, because I thought it just looked stupid.
Steven Spielberg's in it. He's funny in it.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, well then I definitely haven't seen it, because I don't remember that.
At the beginning, Steven Spielberg's directing the Austin Powers movie. And Austin Powers says...
that's right. Yes,
says,
I do.
I have some thoughts, and then Steven Spielberg holds up his Oscar and says, "Yeah, well, my little friend here says it's fine how it is." And that's pretty funny.
That, yeah, yeah, that's really good. They're making a Blade Runner 2.
Why?
Wait. Yes, that's the proper response. Ridley Scott, I should say it this way. Ridley Scott is making a Blade Runner 2.
Okay.
Or at the very least, he is making another movie in the Blade Runner universe. It'll probably end up being something like Prometheus is, where they've even said Harrison Ford's probably not going to be in the movie. It's going to be another movie in that same kind of world, where it's just interesting to me that he's so returning to his old movies.
Yeah, that's all right. As long as Ridley Scott did, I guess I'm okay with it.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as it's not that, they're not remaking Blade Runner, doesn't sound like he's going to tamper with it at all. It's something that's interesting to me, because when Sunshine came out, Danny Boyle said, when it was over, he said, look at the fact that he was talking about how hard it was to make Sunshine and just what a pain it was to work in the world of science fiction in general. And he said, as support for that look at all of the great filmmakers who would make a sci-fi movie and then would never return to the genre. He was referencing like 2001 by Stanley Kubrick, even Ridley Scott, who did some sci-fi movies like Alien and Blade Runner, but then got away from it for a while. So it's interesting to see that him sort of break that and go back to these movies.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's excited because I like Ridley Scott.
Me too.
Right before we started recording, Rambo 5 has a script.
Does it? Nice.
It does.
By Stallone?
By the guy who wrote Conan the Barbarian.
Cool.
This new one. Yeah. So we won't see that. Did you read the plot to Man of Steel?
I haven't. I've kind of skimmed through. I'm trying to do what you did with The Happening. I'm kind of just skimming through plots. Like, I know that General Zod's in it, and I know little things about it, but I don't know the actual story.
Well, let me tell you. Do you know anything about Superman?
Yeah.
Okay, then you know the plot to Man of Steel. Walton Goggins is going to be in G.I. Joe.
Nice.
Yeah, we just have to talk about this because every time there's news about G.I. Joe, I feel like I got to talk about it because I'm excited. Honestly, I think they're trying to make G.I. Joe into a good movie because they're casting like real actors and shit. I don't know if they're going to get Joseph Gordon-Levitt to return as Cobra. It would be great. I loved his Cobra because it was weird. But anyway, that's all of the news. Just burned through that.
Yeah, there's nothing really... Like I was saying, there's really nothing exciting. No. I noticed a Walking Dead thing. I did notice an Austin Powers thing. But again, nothing... I was like, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And,
certainly nothing that spawns good conversation that anyone would want to listen to.
I guess the only thing I got my new Entertainment Weekly and I was reading the fall movie preview. Nothing really is...
I read that at Sierra's because Sierra also has the Entertainment Weekly, and I read through that one. It has Twilight on the cover.
Yeah.
What?
Dude, there's every other issue of that has Twilight on it.
Oh, really? It also has segments of the book cut out, and at the beginning of the little articles, you should go and read those.
I did.
Read them out loud.
I read them because, again, the actors don't know what they're doing.
Nope.
And to me, that sounds like a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And book.
And I'm going to see it opening night.
I know, and James is going to report to us because I will not waste money on that because if I do that, then that means instead of Twilight, I'm going to get, like, Moon with wolves. Well, I guess we already have that in Twilight, too.
It's okay. There are plenty of people who are willing to go with me.
Rip his shirt off and run through the rain.
Okay, he seriously never went... We'll talk about this later. Shit. Well, then that's it for news.
Yeah.
If you want to go into... What have you been watching this week?
What have I been watching? The big one I watched this week was Brad always told me to pick it up or to see it, and again, I'm I'm always hesitant to go see independent movies, not because I don't like supporting independent movie makers.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes people, when they make independent movies, they always do this. Look how independent I am making this movie.
Yeah, there's some tropes that get old real quick.
So I was in Target picking up Paul, which I watched this week again, and Super was available to buy for $8.99.
James Gunn.
I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll buy it. And Brad said it was good, and it's actually really good. And it's way darker than you'll ever think of that movie would be.
That's what I've heard.
Because it has, I mean, even on the front, Rainn Wilson is punching through a page and it says, "Shut up, crime," which is like his catchphrase. But I mean, there's really dark elements to it. I mean, he's not a stable person. And but Nathan Fillion is in it, and he's I can't remember his name, but he's on this Christian superhero theme, and he has a huge cross on him,
like Bible Man.
Bible Man, basically, yeah. And he says, and then there's a Satan, and Rainn Wilson watches this, and it inspires him to be a superhero, and so he's always in it. And he spouts lines, "Remember, premarital sex," and and Nathan Fillion. I can't do Nathan Fillion, but it's freaking hilarious. And so that inspires Rainn Wilson to be a superhero, and he gets touched by the divine power of God, allegedly. Like, he's sitting in his room and he's handcuffed by all these tentacles, and his head's cut open, and a single finger comes down and touches his brain, and he's been blessed by God to be a superhero. Obviously, he's just crazy. But it's also really, it's really sad because his wife is Liv Tyler.
Don't tell me everything about it, because
no, I'll tell you just the premise.
Yeah.
So Liv Tyler's his wife, and she's an ex-junkie, and Kevin Bacon is her drug dealer, and he starts coming around again, and then she leaves him to go with Kevin Bacon, and Kevin Bacon's awesome in the movie.
Kevin Bacon returning recently and only doing villain roles is great.
And then Ellen Page is great in it as his sidekick.
Oh, man.
And
I may have to steal this from you at the end.
You should watch it, because it's really dark, and and then his message at the end with Kevin Bacon is really, I don't know if funny is the right word, but you get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And so I watched Super, and I recommend maybe not everybody to watch it, because it's kick-ass but darker than kick-ass, which might be kind of hard to describe, but there's no really, I don't know how
darker but more realistic.
Yeah, because
or even just saying more realistic would probably
more realistic. There you go, more realistic, because they don't have hit girl doing flips and stuff.
Yeah, the truth is that while kick-ass talks a good talk, in the end they end up being superheroes. Yeah,
and in this one his name's a Crimson Bolt, and he beats up bad guys with a wrench.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
It's weird. James Gunn is one of those guys that I've never really known how I feel about him.
Yeah, he's
because he's like PG porn was funny to me, but I don't know.
Well, he wrote the new Dawn of the Dead.
Did he?
Yeah, which is
it's good.
Yeah.
The new Dawn of the Dead is good. The really weird thing is he is part of the creative team behind a new video game coming out called Lollipop Chainsaw.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Have you actually seen anything about Lollipop Chainsaw?
I have. I watched the trailer, and Suda51 is crazy anyways.
Yeah, but like if it were just Suda51, I could be like, okay, it's weird Japanese stuff, and something about that kind of weird chauvinistic garbage coming out of Japan, I can kind of give it a pass, because I'm like, well, it's a different culture. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to judge them for being but then to see James Gunn's name on it, I was like, no, whoa, this is just,
and for those who are listening who know what we're talking about, it's literally a cheerleader named Lollipop who butchers zombies in very sexual ways. Yeah,
exactly. The idea would be it's like it could be like Buffy the Vampire Slayer only versus zombies, except that Buffy is seemingly a personality-less, short-skirted, flashing, just...
It's bizarre.
It's hard to even... Yeah. And you look at it, and especially that title, and you think, how did this ever get made? And yet part of you was like, okay, like,
I might try it.
It's weird. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't know where to put James Gunn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I saw Paul and rewatched it. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't.
You'll enjoy it. I forgot some of the references in it, but Yeah, except don't look at the back of the DVD cover. It gives away like one of the biggest cameos in it.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's shitty.
So don't look at the back of the DVD cover. And Jason Bateman's awesome in it.
Cool.
What have you watched?
Oh, well, I've watched a bunch of stuff. First, we should talk about something that we were actually supposed to talk about last week, but then didn't because I just forgot. And loyal listeners, Joe, will probably already know what this is. I finally finished Angel after like 2 years of just sort of sporadically watching that show.
Nice.
I finished Angel.
How did you feel about how the show ended?
I think it's great.
Thank you.
I think that ending is really great, especially considering that it was a show that got canceled. I think the ending is really great.
I think it's great because he goes out fighting.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. I don't even know that he goes out. Like,
well,
you can pick up from that sort. And in fact, I think in the comics they do.
They do. It picks up right from that moment. You can pick up
right from there.
You know what the big spoiler in the comic is?
What?
Are you ever going to read the comic?
I might eventually.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't tell you then.
Well, no, you should tell me because probably like spoilers about the comics, the Buffy comics, are actually what made me read the Buffy comic.
He's not a vampire anymore.
What?
Yeah.
What is he?
Human.
No way.
Yeah, it's a really quick tease. You're reading the issue, and at the bottom it's like, yeah, that stuff didn't used to hurt me, but it does now. Now I'm not a vampire, and that's how the comic ends. You're like, what?
Wait, which comic? The first issue?
Or
the end of?
No, it's not the first issue of season 6, but it's
end of season 6 or
3 or 4th. No, it's like right in the middle of the run.
Oh, okay.
And it's really interesting. So he's not an angel. He's not a vampire anymore.
And how do the Angel comics interact with the Buffy comics? Because obviously having read
really, because
now this is really big spoilers for the Buffy comics, but obviously Angel shows up in there.
Yeah.
So
kind of in a little bit of way because Joss Whedon just oversees the Angel ones.
Yeah.
Where he had a huge idea for the Buffy one, and they're different publishing companies, so they really don't.
Oh, that's right.
Mingle too much, but yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, no, and I remember watching that final episode of Angel, and I thought it was going to be a 2-hour long episode because everything just keeps on ratcheting it up.
Yeah.
You know, where Christian Kane, what the fuck's his character's name? The lawyer.
Wait, which
when Lauren
lawyer?
kills him.
Oh yeah. Oh crap. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, like
no, not Wesley. But he has like a girl name.
Yeah, it's is it Christian?
No.
Darn it!
Damn it!
Sorry. But anyways, I love that moment.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Because I was
the
watching
whole arc with Lauren is great in that episode.
And you know, you have the counter on your DVD player, and it was like at 39 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's just getting him now, and Angel still has to fight this dragon. I'm like, what is happening here? And then
Leslie.
Thank you. Do you know the actor who plays Lauren is dead?
Really? No.
Yeah, dude is crazy. He went in and got something with his teeth, and it gave him an infection and it killed him.
No.
Yeah, isn't that sad?
Oh.
Like 32 or something.
Oh, that sucks.
Andy Hallett.
Wow.
And he's a fun character in that show.
Yeah, he is. And that's a great moment.
Oh,
when he gets to kill Leslie.
Best moment.
Awesome. Especially because I was so excited to have Leslie back because he was always one of my favorite villains in that show. I always feel like the big story arcs in Angel are my least favorite parts of the show. They I don't know. They always felt a little bit season 4 Buffy-ish to me.
Yeah.
But Leslie was great every time.
It was fun when Spike came back.
Oh yeah. Oh, all of season 5. Season 5 to me, I think, is the strongest season.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was. I was watching Ice on TV, so it was a big reveal that he does that, and he comes back from wherever he came from, and I'm glad you like the ending because, like I said, it could be interpreted as a lost ending where it just ends. What are these guys doing? Because they literally say, I want the one on the left, or I forget how they're in the alley, and he says, I've always wanted to slay a dragon or something.
Yeah. Personally, I want to slay the dragon,
and then they just run, and then it ends.
Yeah, but in a good way. Yeah. I don't know. I really enjoy it.
In the comic, Gun's a vampire too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Check it out. It's interesting.
I'm gonna have to
it's not
pick it up
as good
point.
as Buffy, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and even Buffy, like the Buffy comics have their good points and their bad points.
Yeah.
The last 2 trades or so are kind of messy, but even Joss Whedon has acknowledged that. It was interesting in an interview recently talking about Avengers. He talked about how they are going to make a season 9 and that he's going to try and make it way more like the show was and sort of back away from the big supernatural stuff that was in the season 8 comics because he just felt like especially at the end, they sort of lost track of it. It got so convoluted that I had a hard time following it.
Yeah.
But did you watch anything else?
I watched the Cleveland Show. That's pretty funny.
But you know how I feel about Family Guy, so a spin-off in general is just like... well, I got a couple really good ones. First of all, I finally got to see a made-for-TV HBO movie called Temple Grandin, which it's about a woman... She has... oh, shit. What's it called? What's Rain Man? Autism.
Autism.
She's autistic, and when she's young, she sort of becomes obsessed with cows and the way that cows work. And it's a story about how she grew up, figured out a way to sort of conquer her own autism while going to school and, conquering the battles of her life in the ways that autism make her life harder. And then, at the same time, designing the most efficient ways to kill cows.
Interesting.
And it's also partially I watched it because she is actually a professor at CSU.
Really?
Now, yeah. The movie... Oh, and Temple Grandin is played by Claire Danes, who I've never really liked, but she is amazing.
Oh, really?
The movie in general, it's got some TV kind of stuff to it, and script-wise, it's a little more concerned with... being historically accurate than necessarily having the right momentum and all of that. There's just some weird stuff, but an amazing, amazing movie that I think people should see. Yeah.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah, Claire Danes won an Emmy for it because the performance is just amazing. You completely forget that this is the girl who played Juliet. I honestly, I almost got teary at the end. Yeah, I think if it had been a movie and not a made-for-TV movie, I probably would have, because they could have crafted it together in a better way. Unfortunately, the ending sort of, like the last scene just sort of falls a little flat, but it's just great. I was so impressed.
Nice.
So yeah, it's something people should see. I've been watching more Top Gear as well, which I think having not really seen that show before, I think I somehow found a way to watch that show in such a way that it only gets worse over time. And that sounds bad. The show is amazing, but I watched all the specials first, and then I found a list of all the episodes that had challenges in it. So really, all I have left is the episodes where they talk about cars, and then they have celebrities in it, which just means that the show isn't as good every time I watch another episode. But it's still, the show's fantastic, and you should do exactly what I did and at least watch the specials. And then I watched one more thing, and I thought maybe I wouldn't talk about it. It's crazy stupid, and I thought maybe I shouldn't talk about it until I've seen the whole saga, but I'll just sort of tease it. I saw the first Twilight movie, as well as some of 3.
No, James.
I did, because it was on HBO. And I was just like, well, I mean, good enough time. Stupid. Fucking stupid. I knew it was going to be pretty dumb. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was going to be pretty offensive. But I couldn't stop being mad at almost every line of dialogue. It's a horribly written movie. It's not even a well-made movie. It's poorly shot. The costumes are all really bad. Wolf Boy doesn't own a shirt. Does not own a shirt. All of the plot elements are just silly and convoluted and come out of nowhere. But the guy who plays her father is a really good actor, and it's a really good role, and he plays it very subtly. And I think he should be congratulated.
Well, Michael Sheen's in him too, and I like him.
Yeah, later on he is.
I don't even
he's
know.
Not. I
just saw him in the trailer for the new one. I had no idea he was in it.
Actually, I think he may only be in the 4th one. I'm not sure if he's been in them before. I know Bryce Dallas Howard is in 2 and 3, I think.
Isn't Dakota Fanning in them too?
Dakota Fanning is in them after this as some evil vampire lady. And I saw little snippets of her in 3, and she was actually pretty good, I guess. I don't know. But damn, it's so bad. And there are so many lines in the movie that I feel like I could take out and break down in 5 pages why that line is offensive. Just really stupid. Billy Burke. Billy Burke plays Charlie Swan, her father. Does a really great job.
Good.
Really does.
Good.
He was like, every time he was on screen, he was like a breath of fresh air. Anyway, saw that. Let's move on.
You said stupid. It reminded me, I did see one more thing.
Oh, really?
Streaming, I saw Night of the Comet on
Night of the Comet.
Netflix. And what I did is because I like zombie movies, and I wanted to see what I could stream on Netflix because I was bored one night when Laura works. And so I typed in zombies, and Night of the Comet came up, and it had 4 stars on it rated. I'm like, genre fans rate it. But I'm a genre fan, so maybe it's good. It's terrible. It's like they put in zombies in it just to classify it as a horror movie, but it's not scary at all. And basically a comet goes over Earth, and it turns everybody into red dust if you weren't sheltered, if you looked at the comet. But the people that didn't die turn into these zombies that aren't scary at all. And then they have this 80s pop soundtrack to it that...
So who's alive to not...
this girl and her sister, and they go shopping in a mall.
Well, how'd they survive?
They didn't see the comet.
They didn't see... Oh, so if you see the comet, you get turned into dust. If you're outside during the comet, you get turned into a zombie. If you're inside during the comet, alive.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, actually, it started off with some sort of promise. It starts off, these kids are just at a movie theater, and the girl hero in it is playing a video game, and she wants to... arcade game, she wants to have all the top 10 scores, so that's kind of cool. I can kind of get in this. I can see why maybe it's a cult movie. And then she comes out, and there's dust everywhere, and then a zombie kills her boyfriend. I'm like, okay, maybe, kind of a end of world Mad Max kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And then it just gets terrible.
Oh.
So that you watch the first 10 minutes, say, oh, this is a good movie, then turn it off.
I think you need to make a list of good zombie movies that are on streaming.
I will. I should.
That would be good. Because you've watched so many now, and every time you talk about what you've watched on streaming, it never sounds good.
It isn't.
But, so it would be interesting to see what there is that's actually worth it.
Yeah. Anyways, that is... Anything else you've watched?
No, that's everything.
Cool. So we will just jump right in then to the review of... Oh, we should mention this is the second week in a row, so our fans have picked what we're going to watch.
Yeah, they did. Well, it was really just you, me, and Sierra.
Yeah, and since Sierra picked Fright Night,
Sierra decided what we were going to say.
So thanks, Sierra, for voting.
Yeah, doesn't matter. She's not going to listen to this.
I know.
The only one she's listened to, she started the Harry Potter one, and then she got mad at me and stopped listening. That's as far as she's gotten. That's why when we were trying to decide what movie to go to, Sierra chose, but I also didn't really care what she voted for. And I can say that because she's never going to listen to this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Me and Sierra get along so well. We both get Entertainment Weekly. We both love the Rockies.
I wasn't saying I don't like Sierra. Anyway, so what did you think, Ryan?
I actually really enjoyed the movie, and I think you should go see it.
This is not my kind of movie usually,
I know.
And I've never seen the original, but this was a hell of a good time, and I absolutely think you should go see it.
Cool. Start trailer.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, just checking in. What you up to?
Adam Johnson. Adam?
Adam's missing, right?
Right, kids aren't coming to school. It happens all the time.
I don't know if you were paying attention to roll call, but he's not the only one that's gone.
You're nuts.
This is my son, Charlie, and his girlfriend.
Hi. So Jerry is our new neighbor.
Hey. Hey.
Now listen to me. We graphed up all the disappearances. That's you right there in the center next to his house. I really hate to be the one to tell you this, but that guy, your neighbor...
Jerry.
Yeah, he's a vampire.
That is a terrible vampire name. Jerry?
Watching me. I've been watching you. Your mom, there's a kind of neglect, gives off a scent. And your girl, she's ripe. It's on you to look out for them, because there are a lot of bad people out there, Charlie.
What's that?
I'm gonna end him or he's gonna end me. That's how it's gonna be.
Charlie's gonna find me.
I'm counting on it. You smell that? It's your fear.
Did I kill him?
Hopefully.
Yeah, I was really nervous because you said when we were talking earlier today, you said, I don't care what we see. We can see Conan the Barbarian or Fright Night. And my wife really wanted to see Fright Night, and she could come with us. So we decided to see Fright Night, and Sierra voted for it for us to see. Mm-hmm. And I know this isn't your kind of movie because you don't like horror movies at all.
Well, not at all. You're just
not a fan of them.
I needed to be more than just killing people.
Yeah.
Like the movies like Halloween, I appreciate as a film fan because that movie is one of the first uses of Steadicam and all of that. Like I appreciate it from a craft side, but I don't really care about the story or anything like that. Like because it's really just a guy who goes around killing people, and that's all. Scary is not enough for me.
Yeah, and this movie, I didn't know if I wanted to see. I mentioned this early on another podcast because the original is okay. It's really campy, but it is an all right movie. And then I was reading the credits for it, and I found out Marty Noxon was a writer on it, and Marty Noxon wrote Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And you found out she wrote one of your favorite episodes of Mad Men.
She wrote the episode of Mad Men.
So she's a good writer, and she wrote some issues of Buffy season 8 on the comic book. So I said, you know what? A Buffy writer writing a vampire movie, I might be down to see this.
Yeah.
And because even the trailers really didn't do it justice, because they kind of sold the vampire living next door angle.
Yeah, they sold it like Rear Window, which I actually think was really good.
Yeah.
Because it also meant that the trailers didn't really spoil much about what was
actually,
happen.
They didn't spoil anything because, it's not a spoiler that Colin Farrell's a vampire. You already know that from the posters and from the casting. And it was a movie about a vampire next door, so it's really not shocking that he's a vampire. But the way they played it, I thought was extremely clever. Mm-hmm. Because the original is... It's okay. You can watch. I think it's on streaming right now.
How similar are the two movies as far as plot elements and the characters?
The plot elements are pretty... a little close. The characters are the same.
Oh, okay.
Of course, David Tennant's character is, a Vegas showman in this one. And in the old one, it was a host of a creature feature.
Oh, I guess.
Because, it's, the old one's 26 years
old.
old.
Which actually... that actually makes more sense for the name Fright Night. And,
and that's where it came from. And... So it's close, but I think Colin Farrell's vampire was way cooler than Chris Sarandon's in the original. Because I'll go ahead. Sorry.
No. I'll just go ahead and say it. His performance is amazing in this movie, and there's a line in the movie, and it was in the trailer too, where I don't want to say what I'm about to say, so I'm gonna have Christopher Mintz-Plasse. I didn't want to say McLovin. Christopher Mintz-Plasse. He needs a better name than that. No one wants to say Mintz-Plasse. Anyway, he says this guy is like the shark from Jaws. And when you say that to me, it's a very high bar. And I was like, well, you shouldn't say that because he's not going to be he's like the shark from Jaws. He is so good in this movie. He plays it like a dog with all these subtle little movements and all of that. He knows it's as if he sees so much more than anything we see. And it's terrifying.
And that's what's cool about it, because sometimes you get in horror movies and because they want to rely so much on cliches that the characters come across as dumb, even the villains who are supposed to be head. And my favorite scene actually in the whole movie was when why can't I remember Anton's character's name? Charlie. He rescues his neighbor, takes her downstairs, and Colin Farrell's walking it's literally one long shot.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Of him walking back and forth, and he knows that they're there, and you're like, I think he knows that they're there.
He knows.
Yeah, but at the same time, he plays it like he doesn't.
Yeah.
And, the way he grabs the apple, and
he rolls it down. Oh, it was so badass.
And how he eats the apple. It's just little subtle things in characters that I look for and how he just owns that part.
And what's terrifying there, this is spoilers for the scene, but what's terrifying there is that he knows, so he's going to do something, and then he keeps not, every time you think he has a chance, every time you think he's going to pop up, nothing happens.
Yeah, I think
and then the end of that scene is awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's why that scene's really effective, because a lot of times in movies like that, and I think props needs to go to the director, because he actually did, I was always waiting he did the horror movie cliched camera angles, where if you looked a lot of times, even in the beginning scene where the kid's hiding underneath the bed, he kind of made a wide angle so you can see, and you're expecting a scare to come this way. And I thought it was really creative that the director didn't do that.
Yeah,
you could hear, but you expect the scare to come from the right of the screen when actually it starts coming on the top.
Yeah,
and I thought that was a really interesting approach to filmmaking.
There were shots in the movie that I like. There were times like that where I thought he was going to try to scare me, and then I didn't think he pulled it off quite right. There's one of them we'll talk about later, but sort of similar to what you're talking about now. When Christopher Mintz-Plasse is climbing down the
you expect him to jump up, right?
Climbing down the roof?
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't know what I quite expected. I expected something, yeah, but then when he drops down, like, that shot just doesn't work quite right, so, like, I know where he's going to be anyway. But looking back at it now, I feel like it's a lot of him, using those old horror cliches, so you think you know how he's going to scare you, and then it's almost like he just doesn't scare you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it actually, I think that probably makes Colin Farrell's character scarier and more like the shark from Jaws.
Yeah, I agree.
Where he's just sort of there.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to pop up to scare you. He just, like that guy drops down off of the roof, and this guy's just sitting there. And you're like, oh, well, that wasn't scary, but then it is.
Yeah,
like,
because...
it's a smarter scary.
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate movies like that, because there's so many times in, especially slasher movies. This was kind of a slasher movie where, it's the jump scare. Just this is a loud music and a loud bang to make you do this.
Right.
Not clever. Where this one, it really, the terrifying aspect isn't the jump. It's the pursuit of the shark from Jaws. It's no matter what you do, he's still going to show up, and he's still going to get you. And he's so nonchalant about it.
You feel like he could just be anywhere.
Yeah,
it's another part of the Jaws thing of, anytime that they're in a house or anytime that they're anywhere where that guy could just show up around the next corner, you kind of feel this weird tension. He usually doesn't. No, but you feel like you're on his turf no matter where you go.
And that you're right. The Jaws thing. Maybe that's. Obviously it's a purposeful.
Oh yeah, she put that in there
because there's parts in Jaws where they're in the water and nothing happens.
Right.
But there's a possibility that it could, and it's really clever filmmaking. And I don't know. I just even the scene where Charlie doesn't believe his friend Dan tells him that he's a vampire, and he doesn't believe him. And he doesn't know, but he goes home, and then Jerry wants to borrow beer from him, and he refuses to let him.
Coolest scenes.
Refuses to let him in, but Colin Farrell owns that scene.
Yeah,
and I don't know, because you're scared of him, but he tries to be that cool guy.
Yeah,
it's a really interesting dynamic, and it's the tension is amazing, and so yeah, it was cool, and
the character development in that first 20 minutes or so is just perfect. Like, it's a lot of quiet but honest.
Yeah.
They're playing on certain stereotypes, but in a way that feels fresh and interesting.
Yeah, and I like the
especially now,
mom.
like in the 80s, it was easy for a character like Charlie, who is sort of a self-hating geek, to feel very cliche. But now that, and I'm putting quotes around geek chic as I say it, now that geek chic has become a thing, it's sort of it's actually refreshing to me as a geek to see a self-loathing geek on screen again, because anymore, like, you see these characters that are very proud of it and everything, and it's I don't know, it's a cool character done very well.
I agree, and what I like too is the movie was shot in 3D, but they never really pushed it.
Well, there's a couple times.
Well, there's a marketing.
Few,
oh yeah, there's times when things.
There's times when I think that the 3D hurts this movie, where they throw things at the screen and it looks really CG and bad.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
So we should have said before. We should have said not to see it in 3D when you see
Yeah.
it. But no one watches things in 3D anymore. So I think that's safe.
I love the relationship between his mom and him too. I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And there's a part where Jerry tries to get invited into the house, and he begs his mom not to. And then there's so many horror cliches where she says, "Oh, nothing's going to happen," and she lets him in. But then she trusts her son. I thought that was a really cool scene too.
Yeah. It was definitely a movie where every time there was something like that where I felt like it wasn't even that I felt like it should go one way and it went the other. It was more like I just didn't know how it was going to... Like, they wrote it in such a smart way that I didn't always know what was going to happen.
My favorite line was actually... I can't talk. Was actually spoken by Christopher. I was calling that. And he's...
Ed. His character's name is Ed.
Is it Ed? I thought it was Dan.
No. I think Dan's the kid who dies before that. No, Adam is the kid who dies. Anyways,
so he's talking about... They had a huge falling out because he stayed a nerd. Charlie didn't. Charlie now has the hottest girl in school. And so he's talking to him, and they're have this huge thing, and Charlie mentions about 4 or 5 minutes earlier about you read Twilight, and that's what you're confusing for, and they have this huge emotional thing, and the thing that pisses him off most is, "I can't believe you think I would read Twilight."
Yeah,
which was awesome.
And it's funny you said the thing about Imogen Poots, who plays Amy, being well, like you said, she was supposed to be the hottest girl in school, and yeah, there's like some lines about that, but the truth is, you never feel like she falls into that cliche stereotype of like, whoa, he got the hottest girl in school. It's not. You don't really feel like anything that special is going on. It's just like, oh, she's nice and a good character.
We talked about this earlier. She's the Buffy.
Because
she, just like Buffy is, super attractive. She is too, but it's never like flaunted. Oh, look, this little girl can kick butt. And in this movie, instead of running away, she stays and kicks ass.
Yeah, she's first developed as a strong character with some intelligence. She has a personality, and then when the shit hits the fan, she
kicks ass.
Yeah, she does a good job.
Yeah,
which even on this podcast I've talked about so many characters this summer where I'm like, really? She couldn't have punched him once?
Exactly.
Not even tried to hit this dude. So it was really refreshing every time that...
And we haven't talked about it yet, but you're a big Doctor Who fan.
I am. David Tennant is in this movie.
And overall?
Amazing. First of all, you said going in that you had heard that he was sort of playing like a Russell Brand kind of a character, which is true, especially visually. I think it's that kind. And I think he's written in such a way that it would be easy for a lesser casting director to be like, oh, well, obviously we want Russell Brand to be this. But Russell Brand would have played it flat and not funny. David Tennant is a brilliant choice for this character because he takes that bombastic character and then makes it very real, plays up the alcoholism, just great. I loved that character.
Yeah, what's funny too is I read that, and as I was watching the movie, and he comes out, he has the long hair, he has the goatee and all this stuff, but when he sits down and is who he really is, he takes all that off.
Yeah,
and I thought that was actually a character defining moment for that. It's really subtle, but he's not the Russell Brand. I read several reviews. I don't know if I'm just think deeper than some movie reviewers, but he removed all that stuff because that's not who he is. He's not. You're right, the bombastic.
And it was a smart choice because he ended up, especially near the end of the movie, he actually looks like Anton Yelchin. He looks like an older version of that guy. So you realize, like, oh man, these are they're supposed to be the same character.
Yeah.
Which was he's great. I love David.
Yeah,
Tennant.
he was really funny in that,
and not at all.
But he was
similar to who he was as Doctor Who,
and he wasn't over the top. How that character could be.
Yeah,
he played it so straight, and his lines were so funny.
Yeah,
that it was just cool. It was cool to see him that way, and
yeah, it was good. I want to talk about the thing that I hated.
Okay,
I hated everything that happened in the van.
Really?
Yeah, and it's not even the character moments. It's actually the way it was shot. Just everything visual about that scene. It's two things. First of all, and this is the first movie where I want to say this permanently. I don't think that vampires should ever be CG ever.
Oh yeah, that was
the CG vampires in this movie are not good. And similarly to what people said about Captain America, The CG vampire is nowhere near as scary as Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell is terrifying, so that then when he goes CG, you're like, oh, now it's just this monster. Like, it's nowhere near
and
as
his head
cool.
was way too big.
Yeah.
And you know, it was KMB effects, and when he was just had the black eyes and he had the fangs.
Yeah. The little touches, like when his fingernails would go creepy.
And he had the blue veins. I mean, that's creepy.
Yeah, especially because nobody ever noticed.
Yeah.
Like when his nails would go weird, like when he taps on the car window, and you think you should immediately know that's a monster, but then he just sort of looks like Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
And it was like just those little touches, like nobody notices.
Yeah, the when the girl turns into a vampire and she looks at the camera with that smile, that's actually from the first one.
Oh, really?
But it's still
yeah.
But
yeah, that's not, and it wasn't good. Like her, well.
Because even, you know, the last battle
I don't know that
scene
she would be as terrifying as a vampire, but that scene's not about being scary. That scene's that's an emotional scene.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that she's...
Yeah, even the last scene where Colin Farrell's fighting, like when the vampires were crawling out of the walls, that was creepy. And, you know, he's all cool and calm, and he's I've been alive for 400 years, what are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
And that's cool. Yeah, you don't need him to be, like, the goofy...
The CG was good, like... at the end of the truck scene when he gets stabbed, and then he goes all weird. That CG was really cool because it added something, but the CG face was just
it's unnecessary.
But the other thing is that scene, to me, that should have been filmed like a gritty car chase scene where, I wanted Death Proof. Anytime anybody's in a car chase, I want Death Proof. But I wanted a gritty, realistic feeling Death Proof car chase. But what he decided to do was a oh shoot, what's the name of the guy? The guy who made Children of Men.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
I think it's the same guy.
No. It's
Doug
not
Giuseppe. I think it's the same guy.
No. Children of Men is made by Alfonso Cuarón.
You're right. Thank you.
Anyway, he does that one long shot. In fact, I think maybe the majority of the car chase is one shot where I'm not entirely sure how he did it. It was definitely involving CG because it didn't always look good, but he just sort of moves the camera around the car, and it, partially because of the CG with them like ramming the cars together and stuff like that, it just never worked for me. But for that to be my biggest complaint is, especially on a horror movie, you know.
Well, Colin Farrell killed Chris Sarandon, who was the original vampire in Fright Night. That was the dude who got out of the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Yeah. I don't know. It was great.
Yeah, it was a cool movie. Laura, did you like the movie?
I did. Colin Farrell's hot.
Oh, Laura liked it because Colin Farrell was hot.
He has amazing shoulders.
He's a very beautiful man. He's even sexier when he has his Irish accent, but I'll settle for him anytime. Really.
So Laura says go see it because Colin Farrell's sexy.
Well, it's a cool movie too, but that's a fun part of it.
Yeah.
Especially when he rips up the pipe and you can see his muscles flexing. He's always wearing that tight shirt.
I like when he
That was a
gets
cool
cold and
scene.
his shirt was wet.
Yeah.
That was also part of it, is that I thought that was going to be like the end of the movie from the trailer.
Oh,
then when that sequence started and I was like, oh man, they're going to burn the house down already. That's when I felt like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen next from then on for sure.
And I love that David Tennant showed up at the end.
Yeah. Oh, the whole ending is so smart. Their plan on how to defeat the plans on both sides. The plan that Colin Farrell hatches as a trap, and even more so, Charlie's plan to defeat the vampires. Smart,
Bye, honey.
great
Love
writing.
you.
Good night, Laura.
Bye.
It was just great. It was
It
really
was cool.
And like I said, to impress me as much as this did is a feat.
That's a feat because you hate horror movies.
I usually, you've got to really have a character-driven horror movie to be this kind of horror movie for me to like it, and it is. That's the thing,
awesome.
is that I care about so many of the characters in this movie, even some of the ones that don't end up as happily.
Yeah. Of course, the douchebag guy, he's in it. He was funny.
Yeah.
Making fun of the dude, Charlie having a mocha, and he took it and drank it. So little things like that are pretty funny.
Oh, that's such an awesome but awkward scene where it's the only scene at school, as I remember, where the girls walk up and they're like, "Hey guys," and the guys go, "Hey girls," and then there's like this weird moment of silence, like oh, this is just awkward. And then they start some dialogue. It was great. That was one of my favorite beats in the movie. Oh man, it felt that actually felt very Buffy.
Yep. There's some moments that were Buffy in it for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Anyway.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's awesome. And so you should go see the movie.
Yeah.
Make
non
sure
3D.
Non 3D. Make sure you see the movie before you listen to our podcast. We ruined a lot of it for you.
Yeah. It was hard. This one was one where it was hard not to, just because I wanted to talk about how cool stuff in this movie was.
Yeah, it was. It's. I do. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I can say is I agree. Oh, but we should give a special shout out to Brian at the movie theater. He gave James an aromascope card.
That's great. We should talk about this.
We asked about it.
There were some people there. He had a big stack of the aromascope. Is that what it's called?
Yep,
aromascope cards
for
that are
Kids
for
4.
Spy Kids 4. And there were some people even going into Spy Kids 4 as we got there with little 4-year-old children. It all smells like grape or chocolate or just ass.
Yeah.
There's one of them just smells like butt.
He said they all smelled like bubble gum.
Yeah, well, they all have that sort of fake, scent to them the way that bubblegum does, but mostly they're just grape or flowers. Nothing good.
But my favorite part about that whole bit is I went up there joking. I said, man, are you going to give us one of those aromascopes? He said, if you want them, we're not going to get rid of them all. Because they obviously don't have faith in the movie.
And I got so excited when he said that. I was like, I totally want one. And then I'm a little disappointed. It wasn't much. But I'm going to keep it. Because I think it's stupid.
It is stupid. And Joel McHale, shame on you.
Joel McHale.
Well, I guess you got to pay the bills somehow.
Oh, yeah. Community. Soup. He's not doing well enough.
His Rotten Tomatoes, he has his 5 favorite films, and they're pretty good films. Dr. Strangelove and stuff.
Cool. Alrighty, well, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. Follow us at realnerds.tumblr.com. Yeah. Like us on Facebook. Download us on iTunes.
Send us emails.
And thanks, Sierra, for picking our movie this week. I have no
idea.
What comes out next week?
Oh, I don't know. Let's talk about it
real quick because I think it's crap. I think it's Are You Afraid of the Dark's coming out.
I'm not seeing that.
I know that's coming. I don't know what else
I won't see that.
Is it Shark Night 3D?
That would be great. It's not, though.
It's rated PG-13, though. I don't know how great it can be.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. It's not going to be great. One day... No. Shit. Oh, maybe Columbiana? Yeah, if we're lucky, what would really be great is if, in the next week, Attack the Block comes to Denver.
Yes.
That would be great. No, that's the 19th. This is horrible radio, but you're going to sit through it anyway. So I don't care. That was last week. One day is this week. So then next week is... Here it is. Our Idiot Brother comes out next week. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Columbiana. Circumstance. Now we're getting into independent films. So Columbiana is probably the leader. Or Idiot Brother.
Yeah,
I'll see either of those.
You know what? Well, again, I'll put up the question on Facebook and let us know.
And I'm definitely going to look and see, because if Attack the Block comes to Denver in the next month, I think we need to see that.
Absolutely.
So,
or if we can't find anything we watch, we can go see Conan the Barbarian.
This is true. I'll probably see it tomorrow.
Oh, you are seeing it tomorrow?
Well, maybe. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, you know what? If you see it tomorrow, let me know how it is, and then I'll decide if I want to see it.
All right.
I'm guessing it's not going to be good. I'll see you in the movies.
Yeah. All right. See ya. Bye.